So I have a 2016 MacBook Pro, and I want to give you 5 things to know about this computer that's really important. So number one, battery life. Battery life is going to be huge on any mobile device that you have, particularly a laptop that you're going to hope to get through the whole day of use with. Apple claims you'll get 10 hours of battery life, but I have to report that battery life is not as good across the board on the 2016 models versus the previous generation. The touch bar models seem to be most affected by this change versus the 13-inch without touch bar. Reports have been, some of them have been of really, really poor battery life. Now, this could just be a software bug. There's been some speculation, particularly with the 15-inch model, that it's a software issue that's causing the dedicated graphics card to stay on versus switching to the integrated graphics. Or it could just be a bias because people with poor battery life are the ones that are going to go out and talk about it, and people with normal battery life are not. But either way, there are some issues with battery life. I think the issue may be overblown slightly because I've been getting fine battery life, but it is not as good as previous generation MacBook Pros. The second thing I want to talk about is the keyboard. It's a second generation butterfly keyboard, but it's noisy. I'm coming from a 2013 MacBook Air, but the keyboard on the MacBook Air and of previous generation MacBook Pros a lot quieter. Maybe this isn't a huge deal to you if you're listening to music in a coffee shop that's noisy, but if you're in class or at the office in a meeting and you want to go ahead and click away and send a message or send an email, it's going to be noisy, it's going to be noticeable, and it might be kind of weird if the whole room is quiet. If you found those 2 tips useful and the ones I'm going to mention in a second, please click subscribe so all these videos come right to your homepage and give it a thumbs up. So the third thing I want to mention is the screen. It looks absolutely fantastic. On the tech spec page, you may just see Retina display and think, oh, I've seen a Retina display before, it's fine. But it's actually a lot different. It's not the same Retina display before. It's much brighter at 500 nits. That's about 67% brighter than the previous generation MacBook Pro. The colors are improved. The contrast, the crispness is improved. Just because, again, it says Retina doesn't mean it's the same that you've always had. Number 4 thing to know, you can charge from any USB-C port. So you do lose MagSafe versus previous generation MacBook Pros, which could be a bummer, but you do get flexibility in being able to charge from any port on this device. And if you have a touch bar MacBook Pro, that brings you 4 USB-C ports, 2 on each side, so you have maximum flexibility in being able to charge any way and from whichever direction you want. And last, I want to mention, this is just an incredibly light computer. It's easy to ignore this because computers have been getting lighter and lighter, but this 13-inch MacBook Pro, touch bar or not, is the same weight as the MacBook Air, 3 pounds. And it fits in actually a smaller form factor, which is pretty crazy when you consider the MacBook Air, when it came out, was touted as this incredibly light and small computer. The fact that we now have a Pro-level computer that's even smaller than that is really incredible. And when you take into consideration, not only is it smaller than what the MacBook Air was in that 13-inch form factor, but it's actually going to have a lot more power than the Air, it's really an incredible feat. So those are 5 things to know about the new MacBook Pro. I'll give you more coverage as time goes along, but I just wanted to let you know these 5 really important things. Thanks for watching.